The French three, they have taken over all of Rocket League. And is this the biggest favorites we've ever had in terms of just three teams to win it all? I feel like in the past, we've had like NA big threes, but it was never on the international like moment of like, will they obviously win? Is there only three teams that are possible? Maybe earlier in seasons like season six, season five, like the Dignitas era, they were such big favorites that maybe there was less teams that had a shot to win. Maybe the Dig and Energy eras, but this year feels so much different from last year, right? Last year, no number one seed won a major the entire season. Then at the World Championship, obviously, number one seed didn't win there either. This year, it's been completely different. Every single one seed has won, either an NA or EU one seed has won. The favorites feel like they're taking over. The spring major felt like what everyone thought would happen actually did, which makes those favorites even more of a favorite. And we talk about the French three, like they're the teams, right? Everyone thinks that they're going to win. We got the BDS, the K Corp, and of course, Vitality, the perfect Vitality. But I wanted to talk about why is that different from last year? And is it different from last year? So we're going to break it down through Liquipedia and talk about exactly what is happening. So let's go over to my trusted little tab here. And last year, we had a lot more teams in the run-in, it felt like. NA and EU was a lot closer. We'll talk about Spring Major from last year in a little bit. But if you look across the board, it was like G2 and FaZe were definitely favorites up there. Energy was falling down a bit, so I don't think many people had them. But Moist obviously were the favorites. BDS was still in the run-in. They had a bad spring, though, so that brought them down a bit. It brought them back down to everyone else. It felt like there could be upsets. Falcons, they came off a finals run. It was possible. Version 1 and Space Station, they kept going through upper brackets and doing well. They were wildcard teams. And even like a K Corp who came out of nowhere in spring to make it to the World Championship. Only Cole predicted it. I remember Cole. I know no one else does. Even though you keep putting it in videos, no one's going to remember, but I remember. But there was a lot of different teams. And if we look at what happened last year, and I think here's a main reason why a lot of people were thinking that the World Championship was up for grabs. Last year, like EU was down bad the first few days of London. We were like, wait, is it NA's time? Is it finally that time? Like NA winter went well, like G2 won it all. And then EU did not have a strong showing early on. We obviously see BDS getting swept by Pioneers in a rough one. Look at that. 2-1, 5-1, 3-2. Obviously 2-1 goal games. But still, you're getting swept by Pioneers. It's not a good sign. No offense, Pioneers. But it was looking bad. It was looking bad for Europe. So the favorites were down. NA was coming up. MENA was coming up. Like Falcons were coming up. We have Space Station in version 1, like in the upper bracket. Like version 1 finished third. We got K Corp up there again making runs. There was a lot of teams in the picture to actually win the World Championship. And then we look at this year. Like, there's three teams. Let's be real. It's the French three. We got BDS. It's not all French, at least. Rise is in there. We got Vitality. And then, of course, we got Itachi as well. Not French, but that's okay. We're still going to call them the French three. I'm trying to make this happen, guys. Let me know if it's working. I don't know if it is, but I'm going to try on the desk as well. The French three coming out. So this video is going to go up in the middle of the World Championship. It'll be after day 2. So both groups will have played their first round games. But I still wanted to bring it up of like, this is huge, huge favorites. Many people don't expect anyone else to win. I think Jorby said it on Twitter as well. 90% chance he thinks that the three of these teams will win. And honestly, I can't fault him that much. I think the one thing when we look at the bracket is K Corp and BDS have to meet early. And then whoever loses goes on to the Vitality part of the bracket if everyone wins out. So whoever wins between K Corp and BDS will be alone on their side without the two other favorites. And Vitality, they're alone on their side early on, but then they will have to play the loser of K Corp BDS as long as all those teams win. And the reason why these guys are such big favorites is we have to look at what happened in this spring major. Everyone expected Europe to dominate, and then they did. And that's the problem, right? That's why these guys are so favored. These teams did not lose to anyone else. These three teams, they were the top three by a long shot. They didn't lose to anyone else. Like, look at Vitality. When they go down to the lower bracket versus teams that are not the French three, well, they go 8-0. We have K Corp, who went through a little shaky of a start, obviously, versus Ground Zero, but they took down Space Station pretty comfortably, a 3-1. They took down Moist 4-1. We look at BDS, pretty comfortable, 3-1 versus Gen G, 3-0 versus Rule 1, and then they only play the top three, the French three, after that. These guys dominated Spring Major. And again, that would be fine if they weren't the top three teams coming into the event. But they were. They were the top three coming in, and they proved it. And we've seen all year round the number one seeds have won. It seems like the favorites are finding ways to win when it matters most, which no one did last year. BDS won the World Championship last year. I was probably one of the few to actually predict them to win. But it wasn't that big of a surprise. Like, obviously, I predicted them to win, but it was still surprising. But it wasn't that big a surprise, right? They've had moments where they have been excellent, and you always felt like they were in the running to win that. Moving forward, I just wanted to talk about the poll I put up. What percentage chance do you think that the French three have to actually win? And honestly, when I made this poll, I was probably on the edge of like 70%. The more I was thinking about it, the more it was bumping up in my head. I'm thinking more like 80% likely. So I could have probably made these polls higher. I probably could have done 80% plus to make this a little bit more of a chance that people would pick the one below it. But 88% think at least there's a better than a 50% chance that one of these three teams win. 58% think 70% likely that these three teams, one of them will win the World Championship. And then, of course, 9% think it's under 50%. And then the 2.4%, I don't even count them because obviously they're like probably T-baits and it's all counts. So those don't matter. But I think Fear brought up a good question here. It's just on the screen, so why not? I should probably hide these. There's nothing really exposing in here. I was talking to Golden Boy. And yeah, nothing. All right, we're good. Phew. Thought there was going to be some spicy stuff. I mean, I don't really DM anyway. So, but like 50-50, where would that balance out, right? I think some people just have Vitality as a 50% favorite. We'll talk about that in a bit. But Vitality BDS, and I was thinking probably more of like Vitality BDS. I think K Corp has a slightly better chance to win than BDS, but it's not by much. But honestly, it's more than 50 at that point. I think Vitality is below 50%, but as soon as you add one of the other teams, I think it climbs above 50. It's really, really tough. And if we look at the AI, and Jorby also mentioned like in this Twitter thread, 90% chance to win. Oh, I wanted to talk about this as well, too. If the three aren't there, Vitality, BDS, and K Corp, then who would win the World Championship? And at that point, it's three different regions, right? Or there's like three different regions that people think could actually win. Probably MENA's in there, Europe and North America, maybe South America, like a few fans out there as well. But it's still pretty even across the board. Like even with the big three, the French three, I got to say the French three. I got to make this happen, guys. Even without them in it, I think people are still fairly confident that Europe would win with like a Team Liquid or a Moist. But North America, like I would be on the side of North America because I think FaZe and Gen G are the two next in line to probably win. And then the Liquids and the Rule 1s would be after that. So I would go with North America personally. But let me know what you think. This poll is still ongoing at the time that I'm making this video. This video is not going to come out for a little while, so this poll will be closed by that point. But this is unprecedented. Besides, like, the Dig and Toss era in season 6 when everyone's like, it's going to be Dig, right? Everyone's like, Dig is going to win this. And then, like, maybe if NA shows up, it could be like a Cloud9 or an Energy, maybe. But besides that, like, last season, it was up for grabs. This season, not so much. And we're going to look back at Rocket Science again for their AI picks. And their number one pick is Vitality, almost 53%. That is absolutely insane. I think that number goes down. But when that number goes down, it doesn't really increase anyone that is 4th or below. I would just put those percents more likely in with K Corp and BDS. Like if we look here, that's about 28. So it's about 80% chance that the French 3 are going to win this tournament according to the AI. And I agree. I am right there with them. I think it's about 80%. At first I was more on like the 70%, but the more I thought about it, it just feels like it's going to be very, very difficult for anyone else to win this tournament. But I would take down Vitality. I don't think Vitality is clear favorites here. I think they're slight favorites over BDS and K Corp. I think if you drop them down to like 40%, maybe even 35%, so that gives almost 20% back. You go like 35, 25 for K Corp, and then what is that? Then that leaves 20 for BDS. I'd probably put it about that. But the French 3 are so dominant. And the main reason is just because the Spring Major went exactly how everyone thought, right? There's still room for upsets. And with the World Championship format, there's still room for the upset because you only have one life when there's 8 teams left, right? So there's a chance, obviously, that some other team could win. The problem is because there's 3 such big favorites, one, they're going to be split up on the bracket, like if they make it that far. But it's very unlikely that these teams lose twice. At least one of K Corp and BDS, because they have to play each other, and Vitality. It's very unlikely that they lose twice and don't make bracket, right? But once they're in bracket, then we'll see. The problem is you need 2 upsets to happen, maybe even 3, because BDS will be in there as well, very likely, or K Corp, whoever loses. But you need that upset to happen, but then you have to do it again, right? Because the other team is on the other side. So you need 2 upsets to happen. It doesn't have to be the same team because they could be knocked out in different ways. But it just feels very unlikely. It feels like those 3 teams, again, they were perfect at the Spring Major against everyone else, and they did it comfortably. Like, sure, there was close games in those series, but it was not a close series as a whole. And the series are longer, best of 7s now, so it's even more difficult to win. It's going to be tough. It's going to be very, very tough. I think I'm on the boat of the AI with the 80%. Let me know what you guys think. Are you more 80%? Are you lower? Are you higher? Do you think Vitality is actually favored by more than 50% in this tournament? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you guys for watching. And I hope you're enjoying the main event because I believe it's already going on. I am talking from the future. I can't believe that upset. Wow. Team Z did. Wow. Okay. Fill in the blanks for me. All right. We'll catch you later. I'm rambling. I always do this at the end of videos. Goodbye.